Welcome to our June 2022 LAPPG online meeting. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We're very, very excited today because we are going to be discussing remote video workflows with AJA's HELO Plus. And we have Bryce Button joining us, and he's the Director of Product Marketing, so that's very exciting. We are able to have him. For those of you who don't know about AJA, they have been around since 1993, and they've been a leading manufacturer of video interface technologies, converters, digital recording, video recording solutions, and professional cameras, bringing high-quality, cost-effective products to the professional, broadcast, and post-production markets. So a huge thank you to them for all of their support. We want to thank, again, the 14th anniversary. We want to thank our members, our partners, our friends, and all supporters. We started as a very small, tiny group, and we've expanded to over 5,000 members. So it's a real wonderful thing, and we thank you guys all for being here with us. I just want to congratulate my partner in crime, Woody Woodhall, on 14 years making this group happen. How many meetings and events do you think that's been? Let's see how quick your brain works.
Let's see, 14 years, 7 events?
7 meetings?
Something like that?
I don't think so. I think it's 7 meetings this year. I think it's more like 170.
170 plus at this point, yep.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Well, I really appreciate it. I actually brought my anniversary cake. For those of you who know me, I always like to celebrate with cake. So I got, during Bryce's presentation, I will be enjoying a little bit of cake. Always makes things even more interesting. I'm thrilled to welcome Bryce Button, Director of Product Marketing for AJA Video Systems. And Bryce is here to talk about remote video workflows and the HELO Plus. And welcome, Bryce.
Thank you very much, Wendy. So our main topic today here is HELO Plus. And what it comes down to is that we've had the original HELO in the market for a while. It's a standalone device that has delivered H.264 streams that you can both record and stream at the same time, single channel. And we're very glad to be coming out and announcing the availability in the next month of the new HELO Plus. So it's basically, we sold thousands of these things. COVID obviously accelerated it. As you might imagine, streaming's gone across the board. Doesn't matter whether it's companies, houses of worship, colleges especially, we've had to help out a lot. And of course, editing facilities. So here's a little video so that I can introduce you to the basics of it.
Introducing HELO Plus. HELO Plus is a standalone H.264 recording and streaming device with dual channel capabilities and separate streaming protocols for simultaneous feeds to different CDNs and social media video outlets. HELO Plus offers double the capabilities and a range of incredible new features ideal for a wide range of streaming needs, essential in today's wide range of industries and institutions that rely on the public internet for professional-grade streaming. HELO Plus's compact form factor provides a simple and clear front interface with single-button record and stream buttons, beautiful audio VU meters, a USB port, and SD card slot for media recording and playback. On the rear of the unit, you'll find all of the essential I/O you need, and of course a 1 GE network connection for broad compatibility with the most ubiquitous network standard in the world today. HELO Plus provides a flexible new interface with powerful layering and graphics frame stores, including helpful templates to get up and running immediately. Combine both your SDI and HDMI inputs and add a graphic for your composite. The SDI and HDMI inputs can be arbitrarily sized and positioned in your target geometry. This effectively provides a switcher right within the device itself, saving you time and money. With 2 separate encoders and 2 separate inputs, video can be processed to 2 separate destinations or sources can be combined for exciting composites, including graphic elements, for a produced stream delivered to 2 different destinations. HELO Plus can simultaneously record while streaming your H.264 files with different compression settings, with the ability to choose which encoder should drive the recording, plus any graphics composite. These recordings can be stored on USB drives, SD cards, or NAS systems with redundancy, so that you can immediately begin editing or hand off to VOD while you retain a copy for your archives. HELO Plus's robust and speedy scheduler system, based on the industry-standard ICS calendar format and specific timing, offers the ability to independently schedule recording and streaming events. The built-in scheduler offers all the flexibility you need for serving repeated streams to audiences in different time zones and more. KeyPro is AJA's line of professional file-based recorders. HELO Plus can participate in a KeyPro group of multiple units. It can act as a follower device, starting to stream and/or record when the group leader issues the Go command. It will stop streaming or recording when the group leader issues the Stop command. Multiple HELO Plus and KeyPro units can be grouped together as your projects scale up. If the user connects the same input to the HELO Plus as the KeyPro, they will now have a system that can perform very high-quality ProRes, DNX, and H.264 recording while simultaneously streaming that input to a CDN like YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and more. Alternatively, HELO Plus can be configured as the group leader, which signals follower devices to trigger whenever it starts its activities. HELO Plus includes SRT, an open-source video transport protocol that optimizes streaming performance with secure streams and easy firewall traversal, bringing the best quality live video even over unreliable networks. HELO Plus's SRT plus encryption ensures that you're well-positioned to deliver your streaming video content securely, with low latency and reliability over the public internet. Dependable after-sale support is key. With HELO Plus, it starts with a generous 3-year warranty and includes a highly respected support team ready to answer any questions. Increase your streaming power with HELO Plus. To learn more about HELO Plus, visit aja.com today.
So we consider our advanced H.264 streaming recording device. You know, it's an interesting thing, by the way. Folks will often go, well, you have HEVC, for instance, in your higher-end Bridge Live. Why not put it in a Plus? The reality is that a lot of Europe, for instance, still has to deal with interlace. And HEVC is a pure progressive format. So that doesn't always help folks that are having to deal with interlace projects. You know, just that's an aside that's worth knowing about. So in terms of the product, as you saw, we've got 2 encoders going, which and allows up to 1080p 60 and up to 50 for our European colleagues. Fairly robust graphics capability, 3G SDI and HDMI for inputs and outputs, and then a standalone and browser UI control configuration, which really makes it very simple. So in terms of the protocols we can work with, there's a bunch of them. When we started with the original HELO, one of the ads we did pretty quickly was HLS, because that helped for a lot of live on-site events where folks wanted to be able to get onto a Wi-Fi system and basically transfer that stream directly to folks within the vicinity for things like iPads, iPhones, etc. But one of the big ones here is SRT, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit because it's become essential for any of us professionals that are having to share effectively proprietary footage together. So your platforms are numerous. This is a very small set of examples. Of course, you might utilize your own CDN if you're working with a team and the IT department has set up a CDN for you so that, you got logins and so on for those specific locations. That's all supported as well. Just taking a simple look at it at the front, we got record buttons, stream buttons. That's real simple, click and go. So once you've done presets and that type of thing, this is very helpful for teams, and especially folks that are coming back to something on a regular basis. You may just want to literally work at that level. We added audio level meters compared to the previous device, because that's a great sense of confidence to make sure you got your audio into the whole chain. You've got the SD card slot up front and a USB port, which can all be recording redundantly. On the back, and this is obviously the heavier end in terms of what's going on, you got your audio and ins and outs as, small mini connectors, 3G SDI in and HDMI in. And, as you heard in the video, the key thing there is you can actually combine those two inputs, or you could be doing two completely different streams at the same time. Your USB for initial setup and firmware updates tends to be something you do once you've set up your IP configuration across your network. The 1 gig LAN port, of course, is doing both the media transfers as well as supporting your connectivity to a laptop or whatever you're using in terms of your web browser experience to configure and set up your parameters for your device. And we added a far more robust metal locking connector for power. Since these devices land up in some pretty high-end situations, we've been on a lot of tours, for instance, with rather large bands around the world. Nobody wants a power connector falling out of a live streaming device during a concert or something like that. So it's compact and field-proven design. I've just been running around the globe with it a little bit to introduce it to different markets. And it really is throw it in your backpack type of thing, extremely light. You have the web browser interface, again, served from our Linux-based OS inside the device through its web server, and gives you complete control and configuration, which has enabled a lot of folks to set this up in various production scenarios, or even in your editing scenario, so that you can then control it, set it up to share your materials with the rest of your teams. So in terms of the basic interface, you have a preview window. That will not always play back at full frame rate. It's not meant to be the live video per se. It's a confidence monitor, and it's there to ensure that you are getting what you expect, because we're going to give all the power over to the actual encoding and that type of thing to make sure your stream is as smooth as possible. Complete control and configuration available. And with the dual streaming, as I mentioned before, you could be doing two separate streams, different formats, different destinations, and recording. Or you may bring it into various examples like this, where you might stream to two different destinations, or you're going with different formats, for instance, and you could be recording at the same time, even with the dual streams. So that's pretty helpful. So in a very basic live event streaming example, you'll tend to come off a video switcher because there's going to be multiple cameras going on. You'll feed that in. You're going to use the HDMI out to monitor what the heck's going on, plug in your headphones so you're confident about everything, and send off your stream, in this case, an RTMPS stream. When it comes to education, as I mentioned before, streaming has affected everyone. Lots of examples of schools having to do online classes, as I'm sure you may have experienced in the last year to two. In this case, you might take the SDI camera feed of the presenter, have an actual presentation on a laptop that you feed out through the HDMI. We can time those two together within the box, and off you go, and you've got that combined stream that can, again, be shared in the classroom to people's iPads if you're using HLS, or delivered to one of the platforms of your choice. In terms of some exciting stuff, of course, when we realized we could do dual channel streaming, it was like, well, a lot of folks are going to want to combine this, maybe add graphics with user-defined layouts and load their own custom graphics. When we actually ship this device next month, we'll provide a few example files for that for folks to get going. But the bottom line is you can go into Photoshop, design your own PNGs, and the great thing is you can swap between these different layouts you may have created during a live stream. So there we go, we've got SDI, we have HDMI, and we've added our own graphic here with custom text. So this is your layout window. Effectively, you can see that we've given you an indication of which signal is where, whether you put it left or right between your HDMI, SDI sources. So you basically can scale down the video to fit within the frame as desired, and then you save them. So as you can see here on this screen, you can name these layouts exactly as you want. because frankly, when you're doing something live, you kind of only have one chance to do it right. So you want to name it in a manner in which it makes sense to you. And then we call this a shot box. So a lot of folks will be used to that from things like switches and that type of stuff. And that gives you the ability to simply click on a particular box for that particular live play out during your live operation. So you're going through 3 different stages, essentially, with a device like this. You're configuring it in general for all your parameters. You're going to save your presets. You're importing your graphics and doing your layout, which I consider the design stage. And then you move to the live stage. And this is going to be your quick access for choosing the correct layouts. Because we all know live events don't always go smoothly as planned in terms of timing. Someone talks a little longer than expected, shorter, what have you. You need to be able to act in the moment. So within that image library, there you can see some examples of where you literally just choose the file you want. You're going to load it up. You make sure you've got a name for it that makes sense to you. And then it's usable at any point during your layout phase. Now comes the portion of all this that to me makes the most sense in terms of us as editors, for instance. I've had years working as an editor, and the truth is sharing materials during the production or creative process tends to be a little fraught in terms of the way our clients especially want to be protected. And it was a few years ago now that we were one of the founding members for SRT. And the whole point here was to ensure that a client could feel secure about their materials being shared across the public internet. I think all of us are aware just how devastating that Sony hack was years ago. And ensuring that it's also high quality image and as low as latency as possible. So the Alliance here has worked very hard, and at this moment in time, I think we're up to hundreds of companies that have now joined, including heavyweights like Microsoft, etc. And it really has changed our ability in general to feel safe using the public internet. Because, of course, you could be running on a dedicated IP network, but that gets really expensive really fast. So this enables a situation, for instance, like this with remote production, where you could be working with a combination of some of our streaming products. Since HELO Plus is built with the encoders, you could be sending your original camera sources from on set, or even your editing sources if you're trying to share edit materials, running it through the public internet via SRT. And you can move to, especially in a bigger facility, for instance, move to our really sophisticated Bridge Live device, which supports tons of different codecs, including JPEG 2000 for cinema work and broadcast work. And if you need to go back to a typical SDI or baseband workflow, you could feed those outputs into your general switcher, right? And then route it around the building. So when it comes to an edit scenario, which I think is going to be what you as an editor or a visual effects artist or colorist even is going to be dealing with the most, you've got your media playing off your workstation. You're going to come out of that workstation, and today some of our most popular products are things like the IO 4K Plus, which supports 12-bit 4K, all those kind of things with a simple Thunderbolt 3 connection, and then take that SDI output, feed it into the Plus, send that up to the public internet, and then a remote artist, if you're working in teams, for instance, would be able to effectively see what's going on the workstation. You're going to have your remote clients. I think all of us today have gotten used to having a producer or a creative director or someone that we're trying to run through the feed. And you could literally be running, around your timeline, and that's simply being fed through the Plus into the IO 4K Plus into the HELO Plus, and you can stop and start and do whatever you need to. So you can have that collaboration that you might be missing from not being able to go to the office. I think this also works extremely well in terms of what I've seen with clients where you may have a production team that's in New York and a post-production team in LA and that type of thing. And of course, today, I don't know how many of you folks go through it, but I certainly have to deal with teams worldwide. And this really has simplified what used to be a really complicated and expensive process. So in terms of scheduling, this one tends to be most useful for folks that are doing repeats. If you've got clients that may have offices in different locations and you've done a recording here, you may want to be able to schedule that to playback at different times in different time zones on different days. And it simply works by integrating the ICS calendar format. It's very straightforward. You've got a scheduler, you can import it, choose your file, you can do that manually, and off you go. Now, in terms of higher end production, higher end post, etc., the great thing we're trying to do here with group control is to marry this device's capabilities with our high-end digital recorders and playback units, which are the Key Pro Ultras. In this case today, we've got the Key Pro Ultra 12G, right, which will support 4K or multiple channels of HD even. But the idea here is it can be triggered either through the GUI itself, or for more sophisticated setups, folks will often set up a REST protocol with a controller, and it marries the two products together. So here's a scenario where the Key Pro Ultra 12G there on the left is recording the high-end ProRes files or Avid DNX HR, and you're getting what you want for your core edit purposes, but you're also wanting to send out and capture something for a client on the other side who might watch the stream, and you might have a team you're working with that are doing effectively what I consider OTT delivery, right? H.264 files for delivery to YouTube, Netflix, whatever it may be, for trailers, that type of thing. And so you can do that all at the same time. And with the gang control, everybody can be triggered at the same time. You basically use one unit that works as the leader, and through the network connectivity, it'll tell all the other units to get going and stop and start at the same time. This type of thing is very powerful for a lot of, what we deal with at the HAA side with things like the Olympics, where you're going to have multiple audio channels because of the different languages, and therefore you want different units to be integrating the correct language of the same source footage. So in terms of quiet, we learned that anyone on set especially likes silence. So it's got completely silent operation. It's a fanless design, and this turned out to be critical for on-set and live use. And I think it's also great within your edit rooms that you've got something that isn't adding more fan noise, right? So who needs a HELO Plus? Well, it's kind of across the board. We have broadcast, of course, your post-production workflows. Excuse me. A lot of governments have picked up these types of devices so that they can share, Senate meetings, town hall meetings, all that type of thing. Because again, COVID accelerated the amount of consumption that's going on from remote and home, and it affects every area of life. So whether you're doing the conferences where, again, a lot of corporations have moved away from doing large in-hall meets to, hey, we'll just do this as a stream, maybe have a few local people on site. But for remote workers like myself, I can join in and watch wherever I am. Live events, the original HELO right now is running around the globe with the Rammstein tour, if you're into heavy metal. But we've had these products on a huge range of tours over the last few years. And then, of course, the remote production, as we were talking about earlier, especially in combination with Bridge Live. So looking at our new device here with HELO Plus, it really is a major upgrade from where we were with the graphics, the group control, and I think most essential for our market we're talking about today, SRT. So that's the HELO Plus. The good news is it's affordable. You're talking under $850 per channel. And for the amount of power that it has, for basically low-end switching, that kind of thing. It's a huge combination of the best of what people need, I believe. So the shipping next month. I look forward to seeing what folks do with it. When you're in a beta phase, you always get one sense of where things are at. And then as you actually bring any product to market, we quickly find out that people have come up with new and exciting ways to use your product you might not have imagined. So you can follow us on any of the typical social media channels at ajvideo.com. And another thing I wanted to sort of end off with here is, in general, it's good to know that we spent some time in the last few years creating solution pages. So if you're looking to learn more about 12G SDI, for instance, because you've been living in a 3G SDI world for a long time, or you're trying to understand HDR better. HDR was complex to begin with. There are a range of approaches. The entire workflow has become a lot simpler, and we've worked with most of the leading color companies in the industry to ensure that's the case. You can read a lot more about the protocols and standards and what to look out for on our solution pages, and I think you'll find a lot of help there.
We do have a couple quick questions, and first of all, I just want to jump in and just say that has been always what has impressed me with AJ is just how responsive the company is to the customers, and that really it makes a difference, and it really shows. We have two quick questions. Let me start with this one. What bandwidth do you need, and what are the firewall requirements?
So the firewall requirements will be up to you and your particular environment. And so, of course, there's the configuration tools to deal with all of that built in, as well as your OSs in general. In terms of bandwidth, it's a 1 gig E port, which is plenty for H.264. You can choose the different compression settings, and that's actually something for me that should clarify. Since you can record and stream at the same time, you might push the recording all the way up to 20, because you actually want to be able to edit it a bit high enough quality that you can treat that as an editable file. Whereas depending upon your bandwidth for your particular streaming scenario, you might need to dial it down to 5 or something like that in terms of megabits per second. So you have complete control of that. They can be independent, and always good in any scenario to at least do a quick test when it comes to anything to do with streaming. But yeah, you've got a lot of control there.
Great. And so the next question is advantages over Clearview or Evercast?
The fact that this is a physical device you can take around with you, and the fact that it's basically got all its built-in controls right there and then, the fact that you can save presets, layouts, and all these things, and you can share them, So if you're a post facility, for instance, and you put together 4 or 5 of these devices and you want all your editors to be utilizing them or what have you, and then sharing it out, you don't want to monkey around resetting things up every single time. So it's a different kind of world to the software-based stuff, and it's a much clearer combination of that recording factor where you need the physical files. One of the reasons these are huge on our live concert events and sports now as well is the fact that any high-end artist works a lot harder than most of us think. It's not all drinks and parties after the gig, right? They actually go back to their hotel rooms, and the more particular ones watch the entire concert right off that USB stick that's come right off the HELO, and they make little tweaks to their performance for the next day, or they go scream at the poor AV crew that it might have had some mistimings or whatever. So it's that type of a device, and very, very flexible.
Oh, I did not know that about our rock stars. That's interesting information. I had no idea. Okay, we have another one here. Within a post-audio workflow, working on sound with remote direction using Pro Tools, do you have a separate audio input as opposed to just HDMI?
Yes, you basically have that little mini jack, So you would generally, if you're coming off a mixing board, something like that, it may be as simple as inserting that, and you're going to do an XLR to a mini audio port connector. Yeah, because we put the XLRs obviously directly on our larger scale recorders, where that's going to be common. But bringing it into a device this small, because we're trying to balance ergonomics alongside everything, we couldn't fit in XLR ports.
Understandable. Yeah, no, it looks pretty compact. I mean, can put it in your backpack, right? So.
Oh yeah, no, it'll fit in a briefcase basically.
Nice. Okay, is there a capacity limit on supported SD cards or a recommended capacity?
Correct. So what we do there is we actually publish, and we'll publish the list of recommended USB and SD products. The biggest issue you find when you're a vendor and you go out and test, you find out a lot of vendors' claims when it comes to things like USB sticks, drives, are wildly inaccurate. In other words, when you go start recording long 4-hour events for something that's a live production, does that USB stick actually hold up over time? So we prefer that our customers don't find themselves in trouble by mistake. So we do publish, as we have with the original HELO, here are recommended sticks where we've done these tests. We let them run for days at a time, and we know you're not going to get glitches. So, that we do our best to protect you there.
Nice. Okay, thank you. And this one says, this is from Troy McNeil, for point-to-point, do we need a bridge live unit?
So yes, since most of the time you're just going to be receiving it as a video stream, right? So you don't actually need anything there, right? You're delivering through your CDN or your social media platform, whatever you've chosen. The advantage of having the bridge live is, of course, it's got encoders and decoders. And so we found it's a great way to backhaul stuff. So we've got, in many cases, you'll have scenarios for the larger shoot scenarios where you'll have the shooting happening on the east side of the country, using the public internet to haul all those files across to LA. And generally, that'll use the JPEG 2000 codec because you're trying to preserve every bit of image quality you can. Then you receive it back on the other bridge live sitting in the post facility. And most of the time, those will be bussed out to a router with SDI again, recorded, sent on, what have you. But you got to conceive of the HELO Plus as kind of being positioned at source, whether that source is your editing system or whether that source is your camera base.
Nice. Okay, I think we hit them all. I think it was about 7 questions in about 5 minutes. Very impressive. But I just want to thank you, Bryce. I also want to thank AJ in general for being our platinum partner. I have to say, I got my AJ LAPPG shirt. Yeah. Yes, this is quite a collector's item, this one. So anyway, we thank you guys so much for everything that you do for us. And we wish you lots of luck. I don't think you're going to need much luck. I think this thing's going to fly off the shelves. So very exciting product you guys have. Just want to let you know, if you want to catch up on past meetings, head to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe, as well as the notification bell, so you will be up to date whenever a new video drops. Right now we have Zeiss up. This was from our March meeting, Zeiss metadata for every project. We do have a brand new blog post up. We'd like to introduce our members to very cool production and post-production folks. So right now we're featuring effects supervisor Alexis Hagar of the award-winning company Lex Hag VFX out of the UK. And he details his journey into effects. He also talks about his work in virtual production, which is all the rage right now. He talks about the tools he uses, including Mystica Boutique, and he gives advice for planning a virtual production. And then we want to make sure that you connect with us. Please join us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Please use the hashtag LAPPG. And a huge thank you to our partners. At the platinum level, we have AJA, and at the gold level, we have Adobe, Blackmagic Design, OWC, Zeiss, and Frame.io. And at the silver level, we have Isotope, SGO, Reduct, Teradek, and Small HD. And it really does take a village. We have lots of supporting media and community partners, so we thank them as well. Thank you again, Bryce. Thank you, everybody at home. Thank you for 14 amazing years, everybody. Members, friends, partners, supporters. And we look forward to seeing you guys soon. And there's Woody saying thank you as well.
Yeah, and thanks to you guys for inviting us. It's AJ believes in community, and you're one of the key organizations and a part of the industry that I grew up in and I just love to death. So good luck to everyone who joined us today, because editing has its ups and downs, and we all seem to have survived this somehow, and just great to be there with you.
Absolutely, and we'll keep going. So let's do 14 more, maybe 15. All right, thank you so much, everybody. Have a great evening, everybody, and we'll see you next month. Take care.